the rosters in EUL,
No.
they've changed.
No. Teams kicking players? No.
And old ones coming back into play. Let's start with our Mercato. We have to go through these teams one by one. There's just so many changes. The only 2 teams out of 10 that have not had any changes are BDS and Secret. But first one is LFO, our ex-Vitality team.
I think that they have actually made a really good change here. Mowgli has been performing really well in both Tier 2 and Tier 3, and I think it's a very exciting up-and-coming talent. His gunplay is phenomenal. Like, we're talking top of the top. And I don't think that they're lacking any gunfire in that team anyways, but adding on top of that is going to be even better. I think that it's going to be hard maybe for them to figure out which roles to play in support ways, but I think that Bibo has the flexibility to go into a flex or a support role, sorry, and I think that most problems will be solved from there. They know how to change the problems, or fix the problems rather.
Yep.
They're experienced enough.
If this team is known for anything, it's known for its support staff, of course, with Helby and Dilun in the background, kind of leading the team forward. We'll see how they actually step up here. If they do in EUL, it's always a big question in our mind. Second team up on the chopping block is Heroic. So we knew Heroic as the old kind of French lineup that came in at stage 3. Well, they've actually come in and picked up the Kavana squad and picked up, who's this guy again? The hottest player to ever touch Rainbow Six in Europe.
I thought he was the hottest player to ever touch the PC.
True, that's Uno.
That's why we picked him up in G2, and I think they picked him up for the exact same reason here. Or they actually did it for the real reason that he's a very talented, both individual player, but also a player that will drag players with him to do things. That's why we picked up Uno back in the day. I'm assuming that's why Heroic picked up Uno now. He has a ability to take players, make them do like they perform actions that they would not do on their own because he will communicate for it. And he's a player that will sacrifice himself for the team. One of the absolute best team players you can find. I think they did a great choice in him, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
So it turns out it's the experience that Heroic might have been lacking. Maybe Uno coming in here, we remember the old quips from Pengu saying, hey, Uno's dead, we're going to win the round because he's going to be on cams and giving us all the info. So who knows how this roster will turn out. Next up, there it is. Team number 3, G2. Wow, never heard of that before. Citizen and Virtue remain on the team, but 3 massive changes. Our first import from Brazil, officially, to just come in and play Rainbow Six.
Imagine that. Rainbow Six can do a lot for you. I'm actually excited about this roster. I think they have a lot of individual talent. I mean, saying a lot seems like an understatement in itself. They have so much individual talent. I do have a little bit of a war with them. I do not know how they're going to figure out how to have 4 players that have had players before play for them and help them perform, to now having 4 players in the same team. Who is going to play to support the others? It's going to be interesting to see, but then again, most things can be sorted by firepower, and it seems like they've collected quite a bit of that in this one.
We were thinking about that when Rogue formed and Prano was brought in, but look at him, he stepped up, so maybe he's the one that's going to be taking the lead. We're going to have to see. G2 are known for having the flexibility back in the day. Will that continue? Well, Doki, Alamau, and Prano are being brought.
Yeah, Prano and Virtue, I'm assuming he's going to go into the support roles a little bit more, and I think they'll sort their problems from there.
Yep, so a lot of, I guess, a lot of expectations on the G2 roster. As
always is.
Honestly,
always is. You can't avoid it with the G2 history. And then we'll see if they can create a new dynasty, as they said.
That's what Alamau has been saying. No dynasty has been created
those are my
since those days.
Expectations for them now.
Definitely should be. Next up on the block, again, it's Navi with Thunder being brought in. Again, Brazilian team, half Brazilian player being brought in here with Kayak also joining the squad. Nathan Secretly and Blur. They're on it secretly, known since basically day 1 in competition in EU.
Well, he is older than the invention of computers. He's been around for a while, but now he's not the new player in this team. It's Kayak and Thunder. A little bit of a worry I have with this one is that they're lacking the firepower. I've been told that Nathan has actually gone from support to an entry fragger, which is usually not the way that you do it. Usually you have the more frag-heavy players turn into supports. That's not the case here. Hopefully they can sort out the calling structure that they have inside this team. They have a lot of vocal players, so I think they'll be fine. Both Nathan Secretly and Kayak can all speak pretty well when it comes to coordination.
Next up, there it is. We have our RU team. Just so everybody knows, we're going to go through Pwns and Outsiders here in this case. The update that was posted on socials and we're going to be running with is our RU team's as organizations are not allowed to compete. We have our RU players that are allowed to play but under neutral banners. So you'll know them as Pwns and Outsiders. Outsiders in this case will be bringing in Milan Pasha and Rask, with Smash by Ash and FMX being picked up from, I guess, CL and the Russian Major League.
Yeah, this roster it's hard for me to predict what's going to happen to. I don't have that much contact with the players from Russia, I'll be honest with you, and it's hard to see what issues they were struggling with before, other than what you can kind of see yourself, because you don't talk to them. I think that they have picked up the better players here, and I think that they have actually improved their roster. I think that, again, it's another roster that's going to have so much firepower in this group. So we'll hope for the best. I don't know what roles they're going to play. I guess we're going to have to figure that one out.
Yep, there's a lot of things to explore all together, friends. Next up on the screen, you'll see Pwns, of course, their second RU team under a neutral banner. Scyther, Andrezi, WTG, Emission, and Exodus being joined on here. We've seen these players over quite a while, not going to lie.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of questions going on over here.
Yeah.
I think that you can agree with me and probably everyone at home and ask why. I wish I could tell you, but this is how the roster looks now. We hope the best for them, obviously. They have quite a lot of players that they picked up, obviously 4 new ones. Andries is actually someone I used to play with the Delta Project. Hopefully he's going to do better there. He struggled a little bit with the English, but I think that with the Russian roster, very talented player. With the Russian-speaking roster, I think it's going to be easier for him. VTG comes with the experience as well. Emission has been as well in both of them in previous Virtus Pro. A long time ago, though. It's well, VTG just left. And Exodus, he did really well, but one problem I have with him, he's kind of either showing up or not. If he can build consistency, I think that this roster can do fine. Let's hope so.
Next up, finally, it's Rogue. Cryan is in, Leon is in, Rips is in, but we got Deepak, Big D. It's the Benelux. They finally made it into the league. And we got Deepak, a Dutch player that Hap will start talking about forever and ever. And of course, your ex-teammate, Kanto Raketti, of Finland, is back in.
Look at that, another Delta Project players. We're everywhere.
Look at him.
Unfortunately for you guys, we can't talk about Rogue because we haven't unlocked them yet.
No. They barely unlocked what they got.
On to more serious notes, I think that Deepak is a very talented player, and I don't know why he haven't gotten the chance before this. He finally is getting it, and I think that he's a very talented middle-of-the-team player, if that makes sense. I look at Siege a little bit like sports. You have a formation. He's the middle of your link that you have between the forward group and the backwards group, and that's where he's going to shine. I think he's going to do really well. Kanto Raketti, obviously, everyone knows his history. There's nobody who can take anything away from that. One of the most talented players in the game mechanically back in, well, 2018, 2019. Let's hope that he can reproduce it here.
Yeah, he's been away for a bit, but hey, big hopes now on Kanto and Uno, his old teammate also. Both Finns are coming back in. It's been a while since we've seen big Finnish representation in the league, hasn't it?
Monotone men, they're back.
Yes, they are. Can't wait for the interviews, not gonna lie. There it is. That's Rogue done and dusted for our roster changes, and there are a lot of them, including a full roster that has joined us here in EU League from Challenger League. They went from UCAN to CL to EUL to Invitational and through and through and through. Nello, returning player, only Croat in here. Of course, aside from Medics, our Observer, good friends, both of them. Solotov, Tyrant, Yuzus, and Nianakal on the squad for M&M.
Yeah, this roster is, and if you look at it, it's a very talented roster, and what we've seen from them in the other tournaments and, well, EUL as well, they've been quite dominant. One thing that I don't know, and this obviously nobody can know, will they be able to deal with the pressure here in EUL? I think that they will. It's probably the only question I really have about that team. There are 3 players in that team that when I looked at players way back, like 2 years ago, like, should we give these players a chance in Tier 1 when we were trialing players with other teams? 3 of them, those names that are in that team right now, were players that I would be looking at and considering. So individual talent isn't a question. It's just the mental part, and we'll hopefully see something good from them.
Hey, we saw them at Invitational. Maybe they can keep it going. I'm sure a lot of teams here in EUL are eyeing M&M in a very certain way. Well, Fabian, thank you very much for helping me out here, introduce everybody to the new changes, the teams, the players that will be following through EUL, at least here for the start of an in Stage 1, and some of the changes to the league.